Did you know that New Zealand was the last significant landmass to be settled by humans? Nestled in the vast blue expanse of the Pacific Ocean, this remote paradise remained uninhabited by humans until the late 13th century. It was then that intrepid Polynesian navigators, guided by the stars and ocean currents, arrived on its shores. These pioneers, known for their exceptional maritime skills, eventually became the ancestors of the Maori people, the indigenous inhabitants of New Zealand. The Maori named this newfound land Aotearoa, a name that evokes the unique and striking vistas that greeted them. Aotearoa translates to "land of the long white cloud," a poetic description likely inspired by the prominent cloud formations that often shroud the country's expansive mountains and coastlines. This name not only highlights the country's natural beauty, but also reflects the deep spiritual connection the Maori had with the land. This mystic land, shrouded in cloud and mystery, sets the stage for a rich tapestry of history. Imagine sailing into the unknown and discovering a whole new world. This was the reality for Dutch explorer Abel Tasman, who, in 1642, became the first European to set eyes on New Zealand. Steering his ships into these uncharted waters, Tasman encountered a lush, verdant land, but his interactions with the local Maori were brief, and unfortunately, marred by violence, which led to a swift departure without much exploration. Over a century later, in 1769, the baton of discovery was passed to British navigator Captain James Cook. Unlike Tasman, Cook's expedition would map extensive portions of New Zealand's coastlines. His detailed charts and friendly relations with some Maori tribes opened the floodgates for future European interaction. These initial encounters were a complex tapestry of trade and conflict, curiosity and misunderstanding, shaping the first threads of contact between vastly different cultures. These encounters would pave the way for a new era in New Zealand's history. A single document can change the destiny of a nation. In the heart of the 19th century, a pivotal event unfolded in New Zealand. The Treaty of Waitangi, signed on February 6, 1840, marked a significant moment in the country's history. This treaty was not merely a document, but a set of promises and agreements between the British Crown and over 500 Maori chiefs. The genesis of the Treaty of Waitangi came about as the British sought to formalize their relationship with the Maori people amidst increasing European settlement. The intent was to establish a British governor in New Zealand, ensure Maori chieftainship over their lands and people, and secure exclusive British rights to purchase land desired for colonization. Crafted in two texts, one in English and the other in Maori, the treaty's translations were not mirror images, leading to significant misunderstandings. The English version granted the Crown sovereignty over New Zealand, while the Maori translation offered something more akin to governance, allowing the chiefs to continue their authority over their lands and people. Under the treaty, the Maori were promised the same rights as British subjects, protecting their property rights and offering them the supposed benefits of British rule. However, the differing interpretations of sovereignty and governance led to decades of conflict and resentment. The Treaty of Waitangi is heralded by some as the founding document of New Zealand, forming the basis for the nation's bicultural foundations. Yet, this treaty sowed seeds of disputes that are still being addressed today. With the treaty signed, settlers poured in, but not without resistance. As the 19th century unfolded, New Zealand saw a dramatic increase in European settlers, drawn by the allure of new opportunities and fertile lands. This influx, however, placed immense pressure on the indigenous Maori population, whose land and sovereignty began to be increasingly encroached upon. The escalation of these tensions led to a series of conflicts known as the New Zealand Wars. These were not isolated incidents, but a series of intense and prolonged engagements that spanned from the mid-19th century into the late 1800s. The wars were primarily fueled by disputes over land ownership and sovereignty. The British and colonial forces, equipped with superior military technology, clashed with various Maori Iwi or tribes, who were determined to defend their territories and way of life. One of the pivotal moments in these conflicts was the Battle of Rangiriri in 1863, a brutal encounter that exemplified the ferocity of the struggle. It highlighted the Maori's strategic prowess and the formidable challenge they posed. Despite their efforts, the scale and resources of colonial forces often overwhelmed the Maori defenders. The outcomes of these wars were significant and far-reaching. They resulted in substantial land confiscations by the colonial government, which profoundly affected Maori society. Lands were seized under the guise of punishment, or as means of quelling future insurrections, displacing many tribes and leading to significant socio-economic hardships. These turbulent times shaped the political and social landscape of the emerging nation. The consequences of the New Zealand Wars and the land confiscations echoed throughout the history of New Zealand, laying a complex foundation for future generations. Far from its shores, New Zealanders would help shape world history. As the world plunged into the dark days of World War I, New Zealand stepped onto the international stage, contributing significantly despite its small size. Over 100,000 New Zealanders were mobilized, a staggering percentage of the population. The Gallipoli campaign, though marked by tremendous loss and suffering, became a crucible for national identity, birthing the legend of the Anzacs, Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. The courage shown at Gallipoli and on the Western Front fostered a sense of pride and unity at home, embedding a deep-seated respect for the sacrifices made in the hearts of New Zealanders. World War II saw New Zealand again stand alongside its allies, further strengthening its international relationships and affirming its commitment to global peace and security. Through the fires of these global conflicts, New Zealand not only defended the freedoms of the larger world, but also carved out a distinct identity, recognized and respected on the world stage. Through adversity, a small nation made its mark on the global stage. In the face of adversity, innovation and leadership emerge. As New Zealand navigated the turbulent waters of the 20th century into the 21st, it carved out a distinct identity, marked by bold economic reforms, a strong anti-nuclear stance, and progressive leadership in indigenous rights and environmental conservation. The latter half of the 20th century marked a transformative era for New Zealand. The country undertook significant economic reforms in the 1980s, shifting from a highly protected economy to a more liberalized and internationally competitive model. This shift was not without its challenges, as it necessitated painful adjustments in many sectors, but it set the stage for a more robust economic framework. One of the most defining aspects of New Zealand's modern history is its staunch anti-nuclear stance. In 1987, the New Zealand Nuclear Free Zone, Disarmament and Arms Control Act was passed, establishing the country as a nuclear-free zone. This bold move not only shaped its defense policies but also cemented its reputation on the global stage as a nation committed to peace and environmental sustainability. Leadership in indigenous rights has also been a cornerstone of New Zealand's modern identity. The government has made significant strides in addressing past injustices to the Maori community, through settlements and increased recognition of the Treaty of Waitangi. These efforts have aimed at fostering a more inclusive society that respects and integrates the rich heritage of its indigenous people. Environmental stewardship has further distinguished New Zealand with initiatives aimed at preserving its unique biodiversity. The country has been at the forefront of implementing comprehensive policies that protect its natural landscapes and marine environments, ensuring they remain vibrant for future generations. Among the notable figures who have shaped New Zealand's path are Sir Edmund Hillary, who not only conquered Mount Everest, but also dedicated much of his life to humanitarian efforts in Nepal, and several recent prime ministers who have garnered international respect for their leadership on global issues. From mountain peaks to global peacekeeping, New Zealand continues to lead with boldness and integrity. From untouched lands to a vibrant player on the world stage, New Zealand's journey is a testament to its resilience and spirit. Let's take a moment to reflect on the profound journey we've traversed in the past few minutes. The narrative began with the Maori, the first to carve a life into the land of the long white cloud, bringing with them rich traditions and a deep connection to the land. The arrival of Europeans marked a pivotal turn, introducing a new era of exploration and eventual colonization. This blend of cultures was formalized, albeit contentiously, with the Treaty of Waitangi, an attempt to weave together two distinct peoples under a single national fabric. The saga continued through periods of conflict and colonial struggles, which shaped the nation's socio-political landscape. New Zealand's participation in global conflicts further defined its national identity, showcasing its courage and contribution on the world stage. In recent times, the country has faced modern challenges, yet it continues to celebrate significant achievements, embracing innovation and diversity. In understanding our past, we pave the way for a future filled with promise and understanding.